So today we're going to be talking about these Desert Shield cards from Pacific. These ones don't get talked about too much. These are like the lowest end of the Desert Storm cards. However, these are the only cards that talk about Desert Shield, which is what led up to Desert Storm in the 90s. These are listed as educational cards. They don't really have too much of a value, these ones in particular. The only card that I've seen that sold really for anything was George Bush Senior. His card I've seen on eBay for up to $249. Whether it was ever purchased for that, I don't know, but it seems to be probably the only card in the set that people go for. But you know, you can get the whole set for $17, so I don't know why you'd pay $249 for a single George Bush card, unless you know you're just like a huge George Bush fan, I guess. But anyway, so a box of these is 36 packs. So we're gonna see if we're gonna keep getting these cards in as well. We're gonna see if we can put together at least one set out of 36 packs. So that's gonna be 432 cards, and the set's only 110 cards. So we'll open these up. We'll look at the cards we get, and then we will see what we have, and then we'll keep going forward. I don't know if there's any rarity list to this, or if it's just, I don't know. There's very little information about this particular set. They do have like a Desert Storm card website that also talks about the Pro set and the Topps ones. This one here was released on January 1st of 1991. And I was there because I was actually still in high school. And I remember when I saw these in the store and I was like, cool. So I bought a box. And I think it was this one. It could have been the Topps one. I'm not real sure. But the sets are pretty much inexpensive. So if you like these, you can buy a whole set like without going through the opening process and getting extras and everything. So, and then there's just this 110 cards. Pro set also had a single run. And when we get to the Pro set cards, we'll talk about that. And then Topps actually had 3 sets of 88 cards for Desert Storm. But now Pro set and Topps did Desert Storm, Pacific did Desert Shield. So 2 different operations for those of you that don't know. So just imagine being a young senior in high school, and you go to the store and you see Desert Shield cards, and you've been collecting movie cards like, you know, I did Dick Tracy, Return of the Jedi. I did RoboCop, I think. There was like a whole bunch of movies that had card sets came out about it. I had a bunch of Star Wars, Empire, Star Trek. I had just a whole bunch of different cards. I collected sports cards. And these ones here, I said, you know what? I can't pass up on that. I don't think they could have been more than 50 cents per pack if they were that much. They might have been a quarter pack. I don't even know, but I don't remember. But anyway, so we're gonna open this up. We're gonna see what we got. All right, so here we go. Let's get into this wax pack here. You know, and yeah, I could just buy the set, but it's kind of fun to open up packs. All right, there we go. Operation Desert Shield. First, we have the F-14A Tomcat. And that's going to be card 95. And then it talks an F-14 flies air cover for the fleet. And you get your Tomcat there. You get your fleet right there. Top Gun, Tom Cruise. There you go. All right, so that is card 95. All right, so 109 left to go. All right, let's see here. We got the Hawk Missile. There we are, the Hawk Missile System. All right, and that is card 40. A Phase 3 Hawk air defense missile launcher in the Saudi Arabian desert. It tells you about the mission there. These cards are actually pretty beautiful cards. If you look at it, you got the white with the red borders. Some nice pictures of military equipment. All right, Harpoon cruise missile. All right, these would have been fired off of probably destroyers and fast frigates. Let's see here. Card 105. Harpoon missile. There you are. Sprudence class destroyer. Card 105. Cool picture. All right, next up, medical exercise. I remember doing those. We would have medical exercises all the time. Mascal. U.S. medics practice treating simulated wounds at a forward post in Saudi Arabia. Card number 17. Pretty cool stuff. Moving on here, we have the Dragon Strikes. That's pretty cool. These are good pictures. I'll admit, these are pretty well taken photographs. Infantryman prepares to fire a Dragon anti-tank weapon. Card 50. If you want to read a card, go ahead and pause it. Otherwise, I'm just going to keep moving on. Free Kuwait. I'll see what this card's all about. All right, this is card 74. Kuwait A4 Skyhawks roar over the Saudi desert to attack Iraqi positions. There we are. There you go. All right. Marine landing craft. But LPH? No, that was a tender. All right, let's see what we got right here. Marine landing craft put down smokescreen while approaching the beach. 36 to 2,000 tons of equipment and supplies without landing craft. And they're supporting assault ships. The Marines would not be able to do their principal job, amphibious assault. Card 30. They need those meat shields. All right. F-117 Alpha Stealth. Be the stealth bomber. The world's most sophisticated fighter/bomber. Card 85. All right, moving on. The USS Forrestal. Fire. Ooh, I think that's one that caught fire all the time. USS Forrestal passes through the Suez Canal. Got your mission, the displacement, length, beam, blah, blah, blah. That is a carrier. I was actually stationed on a carrier shortly after this in Desert Storm. I was stationed on the USS Abraham Lincoln, CVN 72. All right, next up we have the U.S. Airborne Infantrymen. Airborne. Card number 7. Paratroopers of the 82nd Airborne Division move out on desert patrol. All right, next up. Oh, and that was card. What card was that? That's card 7. Yeah, Airborne was card 7. There we go. All right, moving on. A7 Echo Corsair 2. And that, of course, launched off of the aircraft carrier. The A7E Corsair 2 was one of the Navy's most... blah, blah, blah. Over the USS Dwight D. Eisenhower. I think that was 70, if I'm not mistaken. It could be wrong. I don't know. I don't know what I'm talking about. That's not card 96. And Home Away from Home. This is the last card in the pack. And that would be card 41. And that is a tent city. And I spent plenty of time in these tent cities in Iraq and Afghanistan. All right, there we go. Beautiful cards. You can kind of feel like the wax on the back of these cards where it was next to the packaging, but I love that feel. All right. All right, so that's our first pack. Let's get into our second pack here, and we'll wrap this video up. All right, here we go. Pack number 2. Let's see what we got. I don't remember seeing a card 19 in the previous pack, but all right, let's see here. All right, USS Wisconsin. Is that a destroyer? Nope. Harpoon cruise missile launch. Harpoon cruise. There we go. And that is card 106. That could be a destroyer. Guided missile. Probably a guided missile cruiser firing harpoons. All right, returning from patrol. Gotta love those foot patrols. All right, card 18. Soldiers of the 82nd Airborne Division from patrol in their HMMWV. That's a Humvee for you civilian types. All right. Moving on, we have Battleship USS Iowa. Look at those guns. Those suckers are huge. That's some serious suppressive firepower right there. 16-inch guns, maximum speed 35 knots, power plant, armament crew. There you go. Again, that's what these are. These are billed as educational cards, and you know what? They do tell you a lot about the military. S3 Viking. Card number 75. The S3 Viking waits for its next call to duty. All right, here we have the Scuds, Deadliest Enemy. Oh, I remember hearing about the Scuds. We still have these here at Fort Bliss. That's your 88 air defense. A Patriot Missile Battery. Yep, those things are lethal and ruthless. Card 31. All right, next up we have the F-15 Eagle. I believe that was the Air Force, not the Navy. U.S. F-15 Eagle in a runway somewhere in Saudi Arabia. Somewhere. Who knows where. Secretary and Foreign Minister. Oops. All right, 58. The Foreign Minister of Kuwait, Sabah al-Ahmad, al-Jabbar al-Sabah, al-Blah, blah, blah, meets with U.S. Secretary of Defense Dick Cheney. Oh, good dang. Good old Dick. Card 58. Good old Dick. Ready for action. Yeah, I don't know if that... of course, it's a captain. Go figure. Card 8. An 82nd Airborne officer uses war paint, not only as camouflage factor, but also to give himself a look of ferocity. Yeah, I guess. All right. Moving on, we have the F-16 Fighting Falcon. This was my favorite jet. Unloads its bombs in a desert target. We can get another picture on the back. The first model I ever built was an F-16. I wanted to be an F-16 fighter pilot after I saw the movie Iron Eagle. All right, card 97. All right, moving on. M60 machine gun. All right, yep, there you go. We got 82nd Airborne there, firing the 249. Yeah, maybe a 240. M60. Can't fire standard. Yeah, no, that's a 240. That's a 240 Bravo right there. An M60 machine gun crew from 82nd Airborne trains for deployment to Operation Desert Shield. Card 42. All right, moving on. F-4Gs over Bahrain. Almost had to fly to Bahrain when I was on the ship because we saw somebody get slashed. And with HARM missiles, tax out a mission known as Wild Weasels. There you go. F-4Gs. And the last card we're looking at today, Forming Up. That's a pretty good picture right there. That's card 19. An FA-18 Hornet pilot and his wingman form up for an attack on enemy positions. Navy and Marine Corps air-to-air combat. Yep. All right, there you go. That's it. That is our 24 cards for Desert Storm this time. Desert Shield, rather. We'll see what we get next time when we get some of these cards in, and we'll see how well we do. I'm wondering if you can get, at least 2 sets out of a box, because if it's only 110 cards in a set, and you got 432 chances, we should be able to get 2 complete sets out of a box. We'll see what we got. I'll keep one and I'll sell one. Right, until next time, there you go. That is Desert Shield from Pacific. Not the most popular of the desert fill-in-the-blank cards. Topps did it a lot better. Pro Set has some really good cards too. We'll be looking at them also on this channel because, like I said, these bring back memories of my childhood. All right, until next time. Well, we'll see you tomorrow. Well, no, we'll do hockey or something. I don't know. Hockey, we've already done baseball and football. Now we've done Desert Shield. We got hockey. We got basketball. Probably do hockey tomorrow. All right, there we go. Desert Shield.